to the Daily Freakout for Wednesday, the 27th of May, the day before Rent Day, but that's just me. Today's show, we've got Aaron Brockovich coming back into the fore. We've got the House of the Dragon, we've got the UFC's event, and we've got the enhanced games, plus a little bit more Chaz and Dave, but we're going to do something a bit different with Chaz and Dave today because I keep getting copyright strikes on Chaz and Dave, so we're not going to listen to them in quite the same way. Yes, very mysterious. Not going to live up to any of that kind of hype. Let's get straight into it, even though the technology has stopped working for a split second here, guys, so hold on with me. There we go. The enhanced games happened recently over the last couple of days. I was very curious about the enhanced games because I was always of the attitude and the opinion that most sport is enhanced in some way anyway, in that athletes enhance themselves anyway. So whether they take creatine or they take electrolyte drinks or all sorts of different things. They also fine-tune their diet. They train to within an inch of their lives and all that other kind of stuff. They do, like, it's not like, and I just realized I've got the camera facing way too much of the door. Let's just turn that around a bit. There we go. That's much better. It's not like athletes don't put themselves at risk, because I assume the reason why we don't have rampant drug use is because in sports is because under the pretense of we're trying to be healthy and we don't want athletes to harm themselves and it's dangerous and all that kind of stuff. But sports is dangerous. Like if you look at boxing, head trauma causes major problems. Working out and training as much, just normal injuries from overdoing it and going extreme, popping your hamstring, all that kind of stuff. It's not like athletes are not pushing themselves as it is anyway. And then there's so many examples of athletes who did dope and did do things and they've turned out fine. For instance, you look at Lance Armstrong. Now, Lance Armstrong was apparently competing against other athletes who were also doping to the gills just as much and doing the same things that he was. And he is now physically fine. No repercussions or no damage that could not have been just general athletic damage. And given the extremities of the sport, he kind of needed to dope in order to get through it and to be able to do what he did. So to suggest that there's no safe way to do these things and that there are certain drugs are bad and certain drugs are good, I really doubt that kind of thing. So the enhanced games was something that I was curious about, and I thought it would be interesting. Let's see what happens if we allow athletes to go crazy, as it were, and we take the rules away and the shackles and all that kind of stuff. It turns out, not much is different. Apparently, so it was and the big thing that I've just learnt recently whilst listening to another podcast is that it was literally just and I quote here from right in the middle of this article here from the ABC, as a no-expense-spared advertising festival to promote a brand whose goal is to sell performance-enhancing drugs to wannabe biohackers. And I think that really sums it up, because the biggest record-breaking or whatever that happened came from the Greek swimmer Christian Geklomovev. Anyway, Christian swam the fastest 50 meters in freestyle, taking 0.07 seconds off the legitimate world record. And he was fully doped, and he was wearing a super skinny super suit that made him slide through the water even quicker. So, and 0.07 seconds. Now, I know that's the tiniest little thing matters in sports, but come on, that's not much of a difference. I don't think it feels like it wasn't enough. It feels like they didn't break records enough to make it worthwhile. And apparently that was the best that happened. Everyone else was there, and apparently a whole heap of athletes won, and they were not juicing, and they were natural. So it really sort of made a mockery of the whole thing, to be honest. Which, in my opinion, sort of also, you could sort of see it and say that that is evidence that the original Olympics is fine. And that the doping and the restrictions that they have aren't really restricting much. And maybe if they just loosened up on the restrictions, it wouldn't make that much of a difference. Who knows? I don't know. I'm no expert. Let me know what you think in the comments. I want to know, what can we do better? Should we allow athletes to dope? Because it would be a better event for us as as spectators. But then also, should we be looking at recovery and not trying to push athletes too far, because they are humans after all? I don't know. Let's listen to a little bit of Chaz and Dave and tell me if you can tell what's different. What do you think was different? Can you tell? I was actually hoping it would go slower. I thought slower would be funny. So we'll try that next time. Is that what I've done, or is it slower that way? There we go. We'll see what happens. Chaz and Dave are calling my copyright, and the good thing is no one watches this show, so it's not really affecting anything or anyone, or stopping anyone from watching. Oh, remember Erin Brockovich? She was I think a human rights lawyer was the way to go, according to the movie. She assisted or worked at a law firm, and then and went on to defend a whole heap of people because she was tenacious and all that kind of stuff. And Julia Roberts played her in the movie. But she has launched a new website asking Americans to help as she launches the data center map. Data centers are becoming a very big thing, aren't they? Everyone's talking about them. And the map that she's producing is something like that of the United States. The data center, it feels like, just like how we've got solar panels and wind turbines and stuff coming into the world and taking up space, and people are saying, oh, this is good, this is bad, and having opinions on it. Data centers feel like they're about the same kind of thing, where computers are becoming such a big part of our lives that we need, and remember, there is no cloud, there is no away, it is someone else's computer. When we're on the internet, we're just on somebody else's computer, effectively. Turn the internet off on your computer, on your whatever device you use, and realize, especially tablets and iPhones or tablets and phones and stuff, and realize how much you are just accessing the internet. I can't remember what happened, but it was not that long ago, and I've done it it's happened to me a few times where my internet's been cut off for some reasons, usually because I haven't paid, you know how it is. But the amount that you don't use you're not actually using your device. You are literally just connecting to the internet. And as much as, like, I use the camera a lot on my device, but oh my God, I'm just using all the apps are just connections to the internet and to websites. And we're just using other people's computers. And so data centers, even with the advent of AI, are becoming a very big deal. And it's amazing how much is needed. So you can see on this map of the United States, because obviously Aaron Brockovich is from the US, it's a very US orientated thing here. The community reported are the red dots, which are the biggest ones here. Can I? No, I can't. And you can barely see the actual green ones, which are the operational ones. The purple ones, which are there's not very many of them, are proposed, and blue are under construction. So there's really not very many at the moment, but the potential of how many there are is just insane. And at this stage, when it comes to data centers, it doesn't seem like there's any... We haven't... Just like with the enhanced games, the long-term effects of these substances and stuff needs to be studied. The long-term effects of data centers needs to be studied. Now, I'm very pro solar panel and wind turbine and renewable energy, but we need to check the long-term effects. We need to be looking forward and moving forward, but we don't need to be rushing forward, is how I would describe it, and how I would voice my attitude towards such things. I don't think we need to just get data centers everywhere, but it does seem like data centers are becoming a very prominent thing. And I've got a sneeze coming, so hold on 1 second. Oh, that's the professional nature of this show. Sneezes for everyone. The data centers are a thing, and I look like I'm stoned as hell at the moment. So I apologize if you think that, because trust me, I'm not. I wish I was, but I'm not. My eyes are just red for some reason. I had an alright sleep, but the data centers are becoming a major thing, and it's not necessarily a good thing. I don't know how I feel. Let me know in the comments what you think. According to the website statistics, more than 2,716 reports have been submitted, with the most in Texas as of Monday. The state is home to more than 460 data centers, according to the data center map. The greatest concern among communities was water, followed by electricity, health, and wildlife. Yeah, these things apparently need major fresh water to keep them cool. My thought, obviously you've got to keep them cool for their own usage, like their own way of running and stuff. And apparently they're noisy because it's just hard drives whirring away. Why don't we use that heat for stuff? Is this something where it's like you could have a personal data center in your house that warms up your house? I don't know. I think that's possibly a very absurd thing to suggest. But why not use the heat coming off these data centers for things? I remember seeing one time, not that long ago, there was a computer of some kind that was using the heat from the computers in a greenhouse to warm up for the plants, and the runoff water or the excess water was then used to water the plants as well. So if you've got a data center next to a greenhouse and the water that's being used to cool them comes out, but it comes out warmer, doesn't it? But it's going to cool down again. I don't know. There's just this. It feels like there should be a way to integrate these data centers into our lives in a much better form. But unfortunately, it seems that that things are going. So if you're in the United States, go check out Aaron Brockovich's website. Oh, that's Aaron Brockovich right there. Doesn't look anything like Julia Roberts. What is the actual name of the website? It is brockovichdatacenter.com. Go check it out and report your local data center. I don't think they're necessarily saying it's bad, but it is new technology. It is a new thing that needs to be kept on top of. It's not something that can just be left to run wild. The same with almost anything in this world. Because people will focus on just making money or just this or just that. They won't focus on, let's go back to the enhanced games. People will focus on just winning the enhanced games, they won't focus on their long-term events. Let's even go back to Lance Armstrong. Lance focused purely on claiming that he did not dope and he was cruel and mean to people and he ruined lives, and that's what got him unstuck in the end. He didn't think long term. If he'd been nicer to people, no one would have kept pushing him, and he probably would have gotten away with it if he'd just been a bit nicer to people. Because he was he was a bit of a douchebag to a lot of people. Which, when you know anything about Lance, then you go, well, that makes sense. So yeah, go check out Erin Brockovich's website and let her know if there's a data center near you. Now Percy Jones has got the hump of living all alone. So just to keep him company, he bought a gramophone. He played it night and morning till it must have turned his head. One night he rushed the doctor's house and pulled him out of bed with one shot. I'm really curious. I'm going to be curious to see if Chaz and Dave, if I get the copyright strike on this one, because we've gone really fast and we've gone really slow and we're almost at the end of side one. So we'll have to come back to that. We'll see what side two gives us tomorrow. Because even though it's not restricting any of my views and stuff, and I'm getting none, I prefer not to get the copyright strike, to be honest, if I'm honest with you. I used to be a fan of the UFC. I am still a fan of mixed martial arts. I was very disappointed with Rousey Carano recently. That was a very disappointing fight. Even though it was unsurprising in retrospect, it was still very disappointing. But the UFC has Dana White, for all of Dana's tenacity and help and his attitude obviously was big part of what got the UFC to its successes and built and pushed MMA in the way it did. But what he's doing now, and this is the crazy thing, he's always sided or been a Trump guy. They were friends and doing deals and stuff back in the day. Dana White, it turns out, has always been an asshole douchebag. This is not new in any way, shape, or form. And it's amazing to see it to see it coming to the way it is now and realizing, oh wow, he was always probably screwing over fighters and athletes and stuff like that. The UFC not that long ago a while ago now, did a what's it called? A uniform deal, and they stopped the athletes being able to make money off sponsorships on their uniforms. Yet the cage or the octagon and everything all had sponsorships all over it. And it was just gross, because you are either going to go one way or the other. You can't take away the athlete's ability to have sponsorships and make money, and then have all these sponsorships that you can make money off. It literally was just we're going to make money no matter what situation. And the athletes were the ones that suffered. And so, and as a worker, as a person who believes in the people doing the labor, doing the job, should be the ones to make the money. Like, Dana just comes across as one of those classic bosses who's just like, I'm going to make all the money, screw the workers. I don't care about them. I'm going to pretend I care, but I don't care, because I'm going to make all the money, and it's all about me. Greed, greed, greed. And that is the reason why the UFC did well, because he was just like, I need to make more money. But in between gambling at casinos and hitting his wife, he's screwed over the fighters. And this UFC card for... So one thing about me that you need to know is that I share a birthday with Donald Trump. I don't like it. I don't celebrate my birthday because of other reasons. I just don't like it. But Donald Trump and I were born on the same day. different, many decades apart, but or what, 4 decades apart? Yeah, 4 decades apart. But that's just how it is. And so the fight is going to be on my birthday, and it's apparently going to be celebrating not only Donald Trump's 80th birthday, but the America's 250th birthday. And I'm a fan of mixed martial arts. I'm a fan of the UFC, or was a fan of the UFC, but this is gross. This is not. I don't know. There's just something wrong about it. There should not be a UFC fight happening on the UFC lawn. It's just wrong. Because as much as I like mixed martial arts and fighting, it is fighting. It's not a nice sport. You know what I mean? It's not cricket or soccer or any of that kind of stuff. It is a violent, destructive. The goal is to hurt the other person. The goal is to harm and damage the other person. Like, that's the goal. That is the point. That, to me, should not be associated with the leader of the country and a place like the White House and that kind of stuff. And I'm not impressed. I don't think it's a good idea. And it just is gross. And I look forward to all the different other MMA promotions that are popping up at the moment. Even though I was disappointed with Carano Rousey, I like the idea of MVP, I think they're called. I like apparently Scott Coker's got a new promotion coming soon. Everything else is better, and especially amateur. I like the amateurs because obviously they're not doing it for the money as much as anyone else. They're doing it for the love of the sport and the technique and all that kind of stuff. And I will probably watch, but I probably won't pay. And I will be curious to see who fights. I don't even know who's on the card. Does this article have anything about the card? Probably not, because it's all about money, and tickets, and hyping bullshit. Because that's what the UFC and fight promotion is. It's just hype and bullshit. And so yeah, it's not good. I don't like it at all. Let me know what you think, because I'm always open to I like an alternative opinion. It looks like I've been crying almost. That's what my eyes look like at the moment. It looks terrible. Maybe it's the lighting. Maybe the lights. What if happens to turn that off? Do I look better? That makes no difference. Barely any difference. Anyway. TV show that I'm looking forward to, but again, I've been disappointed with in the past, is House of the Dragon. Season 3 is happening, and apparently it's going to be an all-out war. Oh, sorry. That was gross. That's why this is a professional show. No one watches anyway. Who cares? We're almost at the end of the episode for today, and I'm telling you now, this is the most unwatched part of any YouTube or internet show ever. Apparently, this is the penultimate season, so there's only going to be 4 seasons this third season. Season 2 was average at best, and just slow. So they went really fast in a way with season 1, because they did some time jumps and some skips so that we saw them as young kids, and then we saw them as adults with kids. And then season 2 was just a lot of, it's gonna get serious, it's gonna get big, it's gonna get this, it's gonna get that. That was what that was. And we're still sitting here going, okay, make it big. Let's do something. Let's have some fights. Season 2 was just preamble and foreplay. And I've got nothing against foreplay. The problem with Game of Thrones season 8 was the lack of, I was going to say the lack of foreplay, but that's kind of not true. There was no foreplay. There was no climax for season 8. That was the problem with that. But season 2 of House of the Dragon was very much just all foreplay, and then and we're done. It's like, wait, sorry, what? We got all this suspense, we got all this tension, it was great, and then nothing happened. Now, I deliberately have not read or watched or listened to anything about the full story, because the full story of this has been out in a book for a long time, so people know what's coming. And I somewhat deliberately chose not to find any of that out, because I didn't want to ruin the suspense and stuff like that. So I don't know. This next season could be all fight and nothing, but given that there's a fourth season, I assume that's when the final people die and we move on. So this season I don't think is going to be... It's still not going to be conclusive. It's still not going to feel satisfying. And it's going to be... And don't get me wrong, that's hard to do for a TV show. If you know you've got a fourth season to do, you can't conclude, and you're only really telling one story, because this whole thing is the one story about this group or this era of the family infighting. Because this family has been infighting for a long time, but this is the one section, this one group of the family are infighting. And it's just, I don't know what to do. I don't know how excited to feel, because it doesn't feel like, or it's unlikely that we're going to get anything too huge, because the fourth season's coming. This article is all about how they did a photo shoot with 3 of the characters. It's not really much about the actual show. Although Ryan Condal, the series co-creator and showrunner, reaffirms that season 4 is the end. I can't speak for everybody else involved with the show and HBO and all that, but yes, that is very much my plan. So he is planning that there's only the 4 seasons, blah, blah, blah. Season 3 premieres in about a month, which is kind of good. He says it's all out war, Mitchell remarks on the new episodes. It's just a blitz straight out of the gate. Good. That's what I want. That alone will likely be music to the ears of Game of Thrones fanbase. Yes, it is. Which collectively had a lot to say, both good and bad, about the sophomore run in 2024. George R.R. Martin, the author and architect of this entire fantasy universe, got in on the discourse. Yes, he wasn't that impressed either. But he hasn't been impressed with everything that anyone's done with his work. I can't remember what I was listening to or watching not that long ago, but everything he's ever done that's been adapted for TV, he's not been happy with. And I get it, because it wouldn't... You have an image in your head and you do it, and then somebody else does it, and it's like, oh, what the hell? Oh, we've got a trailer here. Let's see if we can get that to pop up and actually play something. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. Let's see if this works.
You now have the power no man has ever wielded. We will have an empire unassailable and mirror. And our children will rule it forever and a day. All that remains is for you to decide what you want from this war.
You will do things that your heart would have recoiled from before you came to the throne.
The Targaryens are a savage race.
We act with holy purpose to restore a rightful king.
I'm going to kill my brother or die in the attempt.
Draw your sword.
Look to the sky. Doom and ruin surround us. We will all become beasts before our end.
It is no longer safe here. There will be no doubt who the gods have chosen to rule.
Well, I hadn't seen that until just now. Plans start for $10.99 a month. Yeah, I hadn't seen that until just now, and that looks good. That does look good. That looks fun. I do feel like now, given that there's about a month, I should do a rewatch of the first 2 seasons. But that does look good. It looks like it's going to be full out battle, which is fantastic because that's what the seasons were missing. So that's what we want. That's great. House of the Dragon. Let me know what you're looking forward to. No spoilers. Don't say any spoilers. But let me know what you're looking forward to for House of the Dragon season 3 or any other. I need a new TV show. If you're watching in this point, give me a new TV show to watch. And again, remember, if you have watched this far, send me an email, bobbyfreakout@gmail.com, and you can have Chaz and Dave's Knees Up Jamboree bag number 2. I will send you the record. And you can even have Dr. Dollywell over there, which was last week's record of the week. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is the Daily Freakout for Wednesday, the 27th of May, 2026. I have been Bobby Freakout. You've been the audience, and I will see you tomorrow.